dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yo, what's good, original groove? It's your boy DJ Dookie, your girl
Sierra Nicole.
We're back on the channel with another
Kid and C original. Ow.
Jiggle.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? Welcome back to the channel, man. Hey, we got Mr. Ballen.
Yes.
Surprise reaction for y'all, because y'all be seeing this during the week. We normally don't do this. Y'all know what days we normally drop, but we gonna bless y'all with an extra one. Every now and then, y'all will see us, you know what I'm saying, we dibble dabble and throw out an additional one. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to just overdo it. But we, you know what I'm saying, we go dibble dabble here and there and give y'all a little extra. So with that being said, man, we got Mr. Ballen with This Girl Is About to Live a Nightmare. Don't know what this is about. Hey. You ready for it?
No,
so with that being, you say you don't know?
I don't know.
I don't know. Because think about it. What can be a girl's nightmare?
A lot of things.
A lot of things. So I don't know, man.
Yeah.
So with that being said, make sure y'all check out the links in the description box.
Down below.
You already know where to go, man. If you want to first support, all you got to do is check out down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you lock it in with a thumbs up and let us know.
That.
Also, we got to let y'all know, before you try to anything about what we say, make sure you watch the full video. Because a lot of times people take what we say in the beginning.
Or like throughout the video, stop, comment. Please don't do that.
And they might click off, but you won't understand, or you won't get our full thoughts and opinion.
We'll do a whole recap at the end. So please just stay to the end and then comment at the end if you have an opinion or want to say something.
Yeah. Because some of y'all say the details get thrown out over time, and we pause and talk as we discover things, but we put everything together at the end. So, all right, this girl's about to live a nightmare. Let's get it, y'all.
Today's story has two significant plot twists, and one of them comes at the very end. So make sure you stick around to hear the entire story. But before we get into that story, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you come to the right place, because that's all we do, and we upload once or twice every week. So if that's of interest to you, please offer to detail the like button's car, but as soon as they give you their keys, just fill their car up with an angry pack of Asian murder hornets. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. All right, let's get into today's story. Right in the middle of the United States is a quiet little town called Millstadt, Illinois. Millstadt is home to about 4,000 people, and had it not been for Ashley Reeves, only those 4,000 people and their friends and family would even know that Millstadt existed. In 2006, Ashley Reeves was a 17-year-old high school student who lived with her parents and her younger sister Casey in Millstadt. Ashley was an excellent student who, even though she was over a year from her high school graduation, she was already thinking about what colleges she wanted to go to. She was also extremely likable and outgoing, and she had this huge, infectious smile, and so she had tons of friends, and she had a very serious boyfriend who her parents adored. His name was Jeremy, and he was a high school student as well. On the morning of Thursday, April 27th of that year, Ashley got up, and like every other morning, she got ready for school alongside her sister Casey, and then right before Ashley stepped out to head off to school, she told her parents that after school, she had a job interview on the other side of town, and then after her interview, her plan was to play basketball with some friends, and then she'd be home. And so her parents said, okay, well, hey, good luck with your job interview, and just make sure you're home before 10:30 p.m. And so Ashley said, no problem, I'll see you tonight, and then she left. That afternoon, after school, Ashley made her way to Jeremy's locker, and when she got to him, Jeremy handed her his keys to his car. He had an SUV, and he was lending it to her for the day so she could go to the interview and then go play basketball. And so Ashley took the keys, she thanked him, she gave him a hug, and then she turned and she walked down the hallway where she met up with her sister, Casey, at her locker, and then the two girls left the school. They went out to the student parking lot. They found Jeremy's SUV. They hopped inside, and then Ashley began driving them back to their house. When they got there, Casey hopped out of the car. She said bye to Ashley, and then Ashley left their house and she began driving to Fairview Heights, which was a town about 15 miles away where her interview was going to be. Several hours later, around 10 p.m., Ashley's parents had not heard from their daughter, and it was getting close to her curfew, and so they asked Casey if she had spoken with Ashley, and, did she know how her interview went? Did she know when she was going to be home? But Casey would tell them, actually, no, I haven't talked to Ashley since she dropped me off from school.
What year was this, he said?
Don't get me to lie. I cannot remember the year.
Because the year, like, I'm trying to, he said 2018, something like that?
Did he say?
It sounded like, I can't remember. My bad. Did
it pop up?
Nah, it didn't. It
he
never
just
popped
said
up.
it?
He said it.
Okay.
That's because I was finna say, did she possibly have a cell phone or something? Like, I was trying to put things in my head, because I was like, depending on the years of communication, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The form of communication people have.
And so Ashley's parents said, okay, no big deal. And they called Ashley, but Ashley didn't pick up. So they sent her a series of text messages. But after a couple of minutes of not getting any response, they decided to just call her boyfriend, Jeremy, to see if maybe he knew what was going on with Ashley. But when they spoke to Jeremy, he would say that, I haven't spoken with Ashley since I gave her the keys to my SUV. And I've actually been trying to talk to her all day. I've been calling her and texting her, but I still haven't heard back. And so at this point, Ashley's parents were starting to get really worried. And so after hanging up with Jeremy, they began calling other friends of Ashley's to see if maybe they had spoken to her and knew what was going on. But all of her friends that they spoke to all had the same story. We haven't talked to her since the end of school, and she's not returning our calls or texts. And so Ashley's mother, she just sensed that something was terribly wrong. And so without any hesitation, she just called the police. Now, the police in this town were used to getting calls every now and again from parents whose teenage child had run off and they were concerned about them. But virtually every time the police investigated, they would find the teenager had just kind of been blowing off their friends and family, and they would pop up maybe a couple hours later, totally unharmed. But the Millstadt police would later remark when they heard Ashley's mother's voice over the phone, the fear in her voice was so pronounced, it immediately pushed the police department to take this case very seriously. And so that night, right after this phone call, the Millstadt Police Department went out in force to try to locate Jeremy's SUV, the car that Ashley had been driving around that day. And the first place they went to look for this car was Latterman Park, which is this very popular public park that has a really popular basketball court that lots of teenagers would go to all the time, and Ashley was known to frequent that park. And this park was located about halfway between Fairview Heights, where her interview was, and Millstadt, where she lived. And so they go to Latterman Park, and right away, sitting in the parking lot, they find Jeremy's SUV. But Ashley is not in the car. She's nowhere near the car. And when they searched the car, there was nothing of significance inside of it. There was just some of Ashley's clothes lying around. The police would spend all night and well into the morning combing Latterman Park looking for any sign of Ashley, but there wasn't one. And so as the sun came up and the police were nowhere closer to finding this girl, they began to suspect that, perhaps foul play was involved. And so the first person they hauled in for questioning was Ashley's boyfriend, Jeremy. But as soon as he sat in the interrogation room, he demonstrated a real concern for Ashley. He had a rock-solid alibi, and he basically was an open book. And so they quickly ruled him out as a suspect. And then the police basically began hauling in all of Ashley's friends and acquaintances and family members, basically anybody that knew her. They were bringing them into the station to find out if they knew anything that could help them figure out where Ashley was. And more specifically, the police were really looking to see if any of these people were hiding something. And sure enough, a few of the friends that were brought in were. According to a few of Ashley's closest friends, Ashley was in not one, but 2 romantic relationships. One was the public relationship she had with Jeremy, and the other was a secret relationship that was actually illegal. In order to hide this forbidden second relationship, Ashley would tell her family and her friends that she was going to the park to play basketball, when in reality, she was going to the park to meet up with this secret second partner. And the day before, when Ashley went missing, her friends told police that that was the exact reason she was going to Latterman Park. The police got the name of this secret person from Ashley's friends. His name was Sam Shelton, and the police tracked him down.
So with that being said, I'm really wondering, did she even have an interview for real? You know what I'm saying? Like, did she really have an interview?
Right,
or was she trying to buy time to have additional time with him?
Yeah, I was thinking that, but... Because that hasn't come up again, like, because that was the first
interview part.
The interview. Because that would have been first, and then the park would have been second. So
because, like, don't come looking for me because I'm going to an interview.
I'm going to go to an interview. So
that's far
I want to be
away.
occupied, 15 miles. Yeah, 15 miles away.
It's not far away.
It's not far, but yeah, still.
Yeah, distance.
And then afterwards, I want to play. And then her curfew was until 10:30. So, that's
what time did they really get out of school? Because she made sure she dropped
like maybe 2:30, 3.
Some people get out early, like
earlier.
2:00 to about.
I'll just say between 2
and 3:30
or something like that, just because everybody's different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Because say for instance, she do get out of school like 2:30. That's till 10:30. That's a long time to be sneaking.
And when did you dropped your sister off at home? And then did you actually go to your interview?
Yeah.
Or did you, that is a lot of time for, then no one has heard from you. Like, that's
a
scary.
big gap to be able to separate yourself from evidence, too, as the guy could have did, too. So, never know.
Found him. He was at a baseball practice, but the police didn't care. They marched right onto the baseball diamond, and they grabbed Sam, and they brought him back to the police station. And then when he got there, they sat him down in the interrogation room, and he's still wearing his baseball uniform, and they ask him about his relationship with Ashley. And he immediately denies it and says he does not have a relationship with Ashley. He's got no idea why he's here. But pretty quickly, after a few questions, Sam's answers became inconsistent, and so the police just ratcheted up the pressure on him. And then finally, after 12 hours of questioning, the interrogator brings up Sam's mother and his grandmother, and he says to Sam, how would they feel if they knew you were lying to the police right now? And this just broke Sam, and so he cracked. Now, at this point, the police were already expecting the worst when it came to Ashley, but they were not ready for just how brutal Sam's confession would be about what exactly he did to her. The following is an account based on his confession. 30 hours earlier, Ashley wrapped up her interview in Fairview Heights, and she made her way to Latterman Park to meet up with Sam. And now it's not clear exactly how they met up, but eventually the two of them did connect, and they made their way over to Sam's car where they became intimate. Afterwards, the two are sitting in the front 2 seats of Sam's car. Sam is in the driver's seat and Ashley is in the passenger seat. And while they're sitting there, something happens that causes this huge fight between the two of them. And at some point, Sam tells Ashley to get out of the car. But Ashley refuses. She wants to talk to him. She wants to deal with their issues, but Sam's not having it. And so he gets so mad at her that he lunges across the center console of the car and he puts Ashley into a vicious chokehold. Now, he tells police his plan was to kind of yank her out of the car, but he squeezed so hard around her neck that he heard this loud popping sound coming from her neck. It was the sound of her neck breaking. And so
what the what type of argument did y'all have to the point
nothing
where
is ever that no argument is
I'm gonna
ever
say
that.
I don't want to say that right now. I'm gonna say that to the end because what I'm thinking is like it could possibly be what I'm thinking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, let's just
because so that's what y'all would do at the park. That was y'all little hideout so y'all can be intimate with each other, because you always knew that nobody could see us together. Nobody could know us. You already knew it was wrong, bro.
Right.
So why the would you know what I'm saying, be doing it in the first place? And then you that angry at her where you trying to snatch her out the car to the point where you had to choke her? You couldn't just pull her out the car. You choke. You know? No, I'm just saying. It's like you had hate at that point to put her in a chokehold strong enough to snap her.
To put her in a chokehold to try to get her out the car.
Yeah, because
then the fact that you even, like you said, that angry to even be able to, like, because when you like super super angry,
I'm saying the fact that even put the girl you just was intimate with to put her in a chokehold, your anger level went all the way through the roof.
Yes.
Because most people when they're in a domestic dispute or something, trying to get somebody out the car, they just pull them and tugging on the arm, like, get out the car. You ain't grabbing nobody by the neck, you know what I'm saying, you know?
Yeah.
That's like, I'm trying to kill you type thing.
Yeah.
So.
And who's this?
Who say what?
Nothing.
What you was about to say?
No, I'm just like dealing with people and how they handle like their emotions and anger and things like that. Like you have to really be careful with that because some people they go overboard. They anger. A lot of people have anger issues. Is
Majority
what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
A lot of people have anger issues, and you do have to like kind of like pick up onto like different levels and signs and stuff like that. Okay, with you, I'll give you a little minute. I'll give you some time. Let me just walk away, whatever the case may be, because everybody's a little different. Yeah.
Heard it, Sam let go, and Ashley kind of crumpled forward and hit the front dashboard of the car. And so Sam is staring at her, wondering what he should do. He's kind of looking around, making sure no one saw what he just did. And then he reached over and lifted her back up to see if she was still alive, and he saw she was. But instead of trying to get her help, he decides right then and there he's going to kill her. And so he reaches over and he begins choking her. But after several minutes of throttling her, she just wouldn't die. And so Sam pulled his belt off of his waist and he wrapped it around Ashley's neck. And then he began pulling. But he would tell police he couldn't stand looking at Ashley's face while he did this. He said she was staring right at him, her tongue was coming out of her mouth, she was frothing, and her face was turning this ghastly shade of gray-blue. And so at some point, when she still hadn't died, he released the belt from around her neck, and he turned her body so she was facing the window away from him, and then he repositioned the belt on her neck, and then he put his foot on her back to use as leverage, and then he pulled as hard as he possibly could on her throat for quite a while until the belt actually broke around her neck. And then at that point, he checked to make sure she was dead, and when she was, he stuffed her down into the floorboards in front of the passenger seat, and then he drove several miles across town to another park called Citizens Park that was very heavily forested. And once he parked in the parking lot, he looked around to make sure no one was watching, and then he dragged Ashley's body out of the car and deep into the woods where he abandoned her. It would turn out Ashley was far from the only teenage girl who found Sam Shelton attractive. Many teenage girls in the area thought he was the perfect catch. He was smart, he was handsome, and he had these beautiful, striking blue eyes that you couldn't help but just stare at. However, there was something unique about Sam that made him fundamentally different than all the other guys at their schools. Sam was not a student. He was a 27-year-old middle school teacher in Millstadt, and he also was the high school baseball coach. He had never been Ashley's teacher directly. However, years earlier, when she was in middle school, he had begun grooming her for exploitation. And so fast forward to 2006, when she was 17, he had effectively manipulated her into believing she was in this romantic relationship with him, when in reality, he was just using his position of power to abuse her. In addition to being a school teacher, Sam was also an aspiring pro wrestler. He would often compete in local showcases under the nickname The Teacher. While Sam was probably nowhere near good enough to actually become a professional wrestler like you would see on TV, he was extremely strong and really knew how to do a chokehold. And
that's what I was, my bad, that's why I was blurred. That's the reason his strength was too strong because he wrestles for a living. Plays baseball. Everything is about strength. Yeah. Everything he's doing is about strength. He's a baseball coach.
That's what he does. Everything. Yeah.
And the fact you a motherfucking teacher and you
27, middle school teacher, and you begun grooming. She was never like your student, but at an early age,
But she used to probably come talk to you. Because
like,
you know in school, girls be having them teachers, especially the male teachers, that, hey, mister, can you, like, Mr. So-and-such, can you write me an excuse to get in class? They're like, yeah, I got you. If you need anything, come see me. Then it's always they sitting there talking to them. They need mail. Man, these dudes be like, I've seen it firsthand. You know what I'm saying? Multiple times. Where I just told you the story the other day about the dude that was the police officer. I told you the story about the guy that was the police officer when I was in school. Then he ended up marrying the girl that. Yeah. That was in school with. So, and, like, it's you. Even the situation of the teacher that time, the woman teacher, the softball coach.
Oh yeah.
That made news.
Yeah.
And to be honest, we was like, dang, she finally got caught. She had been doing it for about 10 years.
Same, yeah. We had a teacher too.
This is, to be honest, the only thing that makes this so bizarre and different is that he killed somebody. Typically, this thing happens a lot.
It happens. I have no words. Yes, because I'm just like sitting here thinking. I'm like, because I like try to like visualize everything and like the suffering that this girl went through. Like I would never wish that. That's a nightmare. And the fact that she was still breathing and you just like because you oh man, like
everything flashed before his eyes.
Yes, like I have to like
it's either
me or her. It's either me or her.
Because if I get caught with her. Because they're going to wonder why she
why am I with her? Why is she with me?
His life flashed before his eyes. What happened? I got to get rid of her.
I have a career.
It's a small town. No way you was getting rid of her.
That's messed up. You should have thought about that before you started grooming her.
Not even just her.
Other girls, but I'm saying in this situation. I think I
have heard about this situation.
But I'm saying in this situation, since we're talking about her.
Yeah.
Yes, but other girls too. Like, it's like, come on now.
I think I have heard about this before.
That's sad.
When he attacked Ashley and put her in that vicious chokehold, she had no chance at escaping. She was completely doomed. Shortly after his confession, Sam would tell the police that he would take them out into the forest of Citizens Park to try to find Ashley's body. But when they got there, it was late, it had been raining for several hours, and Sam right away acted like he couldn't figure out exactly where he had left her. And so the police were actually starting to think, is he lying to us? Is this whole thing just kind of made up? Did he really attack her? Is she really out here? But after about 30 minutes of the police and Sam kind of trudging around the thick forest, one of the officers suddenly sees something on the ground. He raises his flashlight, and there in a clearing is Ashley's body. And so the police and Sam, they walk over to her, and they're standing above her ruined body. Her neck is totally bent at a grotesque angle. She's covered in bugs. But as they're standing there and they're watching her, her chest suddenly starts to move. She wasn't dead. She had been left for dead, and she had been out in the woods with a broken neck for 30 hours in the freezing cold and the rain. She only had a t-shirt and some pants on, but she was alive. And so moments later, the paramedics, they come rushing into the forest. They pick her up really gently. They bring her out and they rush her to the hospital where she'd be put into a medically induced coma. The doctors would tell her family that unfortunately her injuries were just too serious and we don't expect her to ever wake up again. But miraculously, she would. Now, she would have to relearn how to walk and talk and eat and drink, but she would do all of those things. And today, she is 32 years old. She is happily married. She has 2 kids of her own. And by and large, she leads a very happy, normal life. As for Sam Shelton, he was sentenced to 20 years in prison for attempted murder, and he's still in prison today. However, he is up for parole in 2024. So that's going to do it. If you got something out of...
Whoa, this is the best ending.
Gosh.
Not best ending due to, I want to correct that. Due to the fact she's still alive.
Yeah.
That's
I got what you were saying. But oh my goodness.
Yo, sick
I
individual.
really have no words.
Sick individual.
I have no words. You did. Oh my gosh, I'm so emotional. You did all of that. Ooh.
I'm telling you,
chills.
the only reason why he even did all that was to make sure that he was gonna save his ass. That was the self. He's always been selfish. Even praying after these kids, he was always a selfish individual. He only cared about himself and tried to get a. What the thing is, I was like, why? Like, why was the argument? Did you mess around and get her pregnant or something? That crossed my mind.
I don't care.
No.
I get what you said.
What I'm saying is, she probably said, "Hey," or she was trying to call it off, or she was getting too close. There was something to make him trigger, and he was like, "No, I don't want to." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the only thing he's thinking about is, I have to save my job, I have to save my career,
myself. Period. Yeah.
And it's like,
and it's
bro,
like, you did all of that. You did all of that.
For what?
For what?
Bruh.
And for 30 hours to be left out there in the cold, raining. It had been raining. For dead.
And to be honest,
still be breathing.
He was causing even more issues for her. You know what I'm saying? Over time, he just causing more and more and more. So it's trying to strangle her to death. You cutting off oxygen circulation to the brain.
Right. You know, one thing that I'm like, that's good is the fact, because, you have some girls. Well, no. I'm about to say, you have some girls that, or some girls or some people, just to say, that'll be in situations like this that won't tell anyone. Yeah. But good thing that she did tell someone, so that they had friends to be like, okay, this is his name, this is his info, this is where, to be able to even locate.
He was doing it. He was talking to multiple girls.
I know.
And so that's probably, all them girls probably knew, hey, we mess with Coach such and such. We take turns. Because they young and naive in a small town. Yeah. Because most of the time those situations happen in a small town.
They pray, yes. And they prey on young.
Because the craziest thing is, I think the chick that was at my school, the female that was the coach that was doing it to other girls on the softball team, that wasn't her first offense. Mm-hmm. She had been a teacher prior to somewhere else previously, and had gotten the same situation. And I'm like, how did y'all allow her to become a teacher yet again?
That's what happened.
And then I think she became a teacher yet again after that.
Oh, well, that's what happened. Like at our school, like he was a teacher there, got into a situation, had left, went to a different school, got into a situation, and that one was like, okay, you're done. And
I think she's a teacher again.
I think he got charged for the second.
She got charged, but I do think I had looked her up, and I think she was a teacher somewhere in Memphis.
Yeah, that's sad.
And I was like, bro, how y'all just keep allowing her to become a teacher? Like, she really finessing y'all like that?
Yeah, that's sad. But I'm so glad that they were able to find her, that she was safe, that she was still alive, and that she's living a normal life.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
I'm done.
You can say
no, I was just about to say, and also when situations happen like this, and it really bugs me that when situations happen like this, how the doctors just like okay, we don't see any good happening from this. Like, I understand. Yeah. I understand, they, looking at the situation, it doesn't look good, but miracles do happen. And in this case, this was definitely a miracle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, man, I think the biggest thing that he did for her to allow her to stay alive is he eventually took her out there.
But he only stopped.
Let me say this. He thought she was dead.
Yeah.
But he took her out there, and she was actually able to lay out there and breathe. Fresh oxygen in, because he kept cutting off certain oxygen to the brain. And she could have been brain damaged for life. That's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. But hey, with that being said, man, y'all spam us up. Let us know y'all thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. This was a shocking one. I didn't expect that.
I didn't expect the ending at all.
But as always, man, y'all know how it go. I do go by the name DJ the Kid and Sid.
Here in the post, Kid and Sid.
Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack and flip for my folks. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back